Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur. I am Professor of Accounting and Communication at Gurugram University. I am heading the department as Dean of Faculty of Commerce and Management. I am author of couple of books and research papers. This is my privilege that I am here with you this afternoon to talk on reading skills. So we will continue with what we discussed in the previous part. This is part 2 now. In this particular part, I intend to cover about types of readings or strategies of readings. So that is the broad area or the intention to talk about. I will try to explain all the reading strategies with the help of couple of examples. I hope you would understand that. So friends, as we were discussing that reading is the most important skill, especially to excel at a workplace. Unless you are able to comprehend the manual of any production process, you can't do very well in the production. Unless you are able to comprehend the directions given to you by your boss, you won't be able to respond to that or perform accordingly what was expected. Unless you read the message, between the lines even of a letter sent to you as a memo, you won't be able to improve in future. You may continue with the same mistake which you did. For that, you receive a memo, right? So, for good, performance, for success at any workplace, reading is important and it always remain important. It could be reading a small email to reading a very big report of 500 pages to merge with the other company, right? It could be any kind of any type of document, irrespective of that text. Important is that you should be able to understand, comprehend what is there in the text. Okay, so you would say that it's not possible all the time to spend enough time. Sometimes the text is of 300 pages, sometimes the text is of only 2 lines or 1 line. Well, fair enough, you have a point that sometimes texts are very long and there's a paucity of time. So we have couple of types of readings which you may decide based on the time, based on the objective, and then if we gradually develop those types of reading skills, so we would be knowing to use them whenever we come across a particular situation. I am short of time, I can use this. I have to decide what to read, I need this particular strategy first. Okay, so if you develop these strategies which I am going to discuss gradually, you will know, you would become a very good reader. And essentially, reading is essential to understand anybody for that matter. As listening is important, because listening and the reading are going parallel. Okay, so reading is as essential or important as listening is. Okay, so coming to the strategies, what kind of strategies we can develop in reading? So we have couple of strategies which I am going to discuss: sampling, labeling, skimming, scanning, intensive, extensive and critical. So we may use different words for these strategies, but nevertheless each one of them is important. Okay, so what is sampling? What kind of what type of reading is this, or what type of what kind of strategy is this for reading? So let's say if I come across a report of 500 pages, right, another report of 300 pages, another report of 600 pages about developing a website or about developing e-commerce business, it could be anything. So I have couple of choices to read. So all in this example, all the 3 texts I have in front of me are of huge number of pages. They are having about 300, 400, 500 pages each. So, and you think you would like to read only one. What will you do? What will you do? So you will probably, this is what I would do at least. So you would go through the abstract, the content page, the index, right? So what are you doing? You are referring to the forward page, the preface of if it is if there, or the content or the index page. This is what is known as sampling, right? So just referring to the forward written in the book or in the journal, I am deciding to read it or not. So this kind of strategy is actually used to decide to read or not, to decide to read a particular text or not, right? So I had three reports in front of me. So I read the first one. So this was a book, this was a text, or this was a report about setting up an e-commerce site, but in the Middle East. So I just dropped it. Second text I came across, and that was again about setting up e-commerce site. That report was also on the same subject matter, but this pertains to let's say North America. So again, you were little doubtful because the customers there and the customer in Asia or in India may be different. So they are actually different. Their buying habits are different. So you dropped it. And the third report you picked up, and this talks about Asia, the complete Asia, right, including India. So now you decided to go for this particular report. So you decided to read this. So this reading, you spend few minutes reading the forward for all the three, or the summary, executive summary or content table for all the three reports. Is this particular reading would be known as sampling, right? So this sampling is basically a strategy before reading, a reading strategy before reading the longer text or before deciding what to read. Okay, I hope you could understand that. Then the second is labeling. What is labeling? Labeling is somehow actually used in different meaning, different ways. So labeling is, what I'm doing is I am deciding on only, I'm reading through, let's say I have a couple of books in front of me, right? And I want to get a detailed idea about, but what I do, I don't have time. So I am just looking at the getting gist of everything. So I'm just labeling it. So kind of, sometime when people say when you don't have time and when you read newspaper headings, even that is presumed. There's always a contradiction here. Somebody may take it as skimming, the next strategy, somebody takes it as a labeling, but majority of the text or the literature would suggest that is labeling when you read highlights, right? So you are trying to get some idea about many things, label, right? So you are trying to get some idea about many things. It's not that you are trying to get detailed idea about one thing. That is different. So labeling, you are trying to get some idea about many things. So there are, let's say there are standard operating procedure for inviting a guest from the competitor. There is a standard operating procedure to apply a leave. There is a standard operating procedure to apply for LTC, standing operating procedure for production, for meeting, for writing emails, for social media interaction. So there could be any kind of operating procedure document in the business, right? So you just joined it today, and what is the agenda in front of you? You want to know the company, so you want to understand that there are 10 departments and there are 10 processes. What will you do? So these 10 processes which I just named, you will just get some idea about each of the process, right? If there are 10 departments, you will just quickly read on the website. Okay, well, we have a production department, we have marketing department, we have HR department, we have learning and development department, and who is heading that? That's all. So just you labeled, you did not read in detail about objective, about performance, about all the numbers and the data available about all the departments. You just read, it's kind of highlights. You just labeled few things and you have some idea, and then gradually in the long run you may decide, you may use sampling that, well, I am working in the operations, so I need to read all the operating system, standard operating procedures of operation department. So for that, you may, so initially you labeled about the 10 departments. Now within the operations there are couple of documents. Now you may sample, you may use sampling here and will decide which is the most one for me to know. Within the operation, I am looking after this aspect. I am preparing some let's say per chart. So I may like to read only that. So for the time being, because you just have joined as a new employee, right? That's what we are assuming. So that is labeling. Then we have skimming. The skimming is also used to gather something quickly, some gist, some most important information. We are just running our eyes through the text, right? Noting down some important information. So skimming is actually used to get some quick idea about the current business situation, about let's say you put across the sales report in front of the sales head. So you are working as a sales manager, and you are putting up a sales report of about 7 pages in front of your boss. So he may skim, he may use skimming in terms of looking at just the growth figure for 5 products or the 5 goods you are selling. So what did he didn't read the full report. He just looked at the row where the growth in percentage and the growth in numbers, in absolute number is there. So he just want to get an idea, quick idea about the situation, about that particular report. So that's what skimming is. Now sometimes people may just read first line and the last line. Even that is also taken as skimming, right? So I skimmed. So skimming is like milking, we call it as. So we try to skim the milk to have butter from it. It's like that. So you are skimming, so butter is what? The gist here. Okay. So by skimming we get butter, right? So by skimming milk. So that's exactly where it means. So you are not going through the whole document. You're just rolling your eyes around the text and reaching to the point which is highlighted. Sometimes we get our reports, medical reports, and in the medical reports, generally the lab reports which we get, certain values are highlighted in bold, right? So you, if as a doctor, you as a patient would read that report, and you will actually quickly see that number, because that is important, which is highlighted. It shows higher or lower value than the range. Okay, that is also skimming. So doctor may not read all the details on the report. Doctors generally look for one particular information which is important for them. They know if it is a particular test, they know in that, if they have recommended a test to you, they know what value they want to look at. So what is the value for a particular factor, right? So that is skimming. Now the next thing is scanning. Now scanning is a little different than skimming. How? So here scan. So I am trying to find out a particular piece of information, right? I am not looking for what is important, what is highlighted. I am looking for a particular piece of information. Let's say there's a balance sheet published by XYZ company of about 200 pages. Published reports are there, but I am looking for only the operating expenses which has, which are there which have been spent this year, which has passed by, right? So we generally use scanning on schedules, on meeting plans, to find out specific detail we require. Let's say you received an invite for a marriage of your friend, and so he has told you the marriage is here in Delhi or in Bombay or whichever the city, and it is at particular place. So you know that place, but exact time you wanted to know. So you may not like to read RSVP and all other details. You just are looking for the exact time or maybe the venue. If you are heading towards the city, and so you may like just to see the exact venue or the time. So then in that case, I'm looking for a specific information, right? In the balance sheet, I'm looking for only, for example, in my financial statement, in the profit and loss account, I'm looking for only operating expenses. I'm a production manager, I'm looking for only cost of goods sold, which is shown in the profit and loss account, right? But somebody who is heading the sales, he would pay attention or will go into scanning to the extent to find out or dig out a particular information, right? So when we are scanning, we do come across many things which do not make any meaning to us, because we may not be, as if you remember in the beginning I said, I may not have enough vocabulary, I may not have enough background knowledge or the understanding to comprehend the complete text. So I am just looking for something, a particular part. So when we actually look at a newspaper to see what is there on the TV, I want to see at 10 o'clock, I am free today, 10 p.m. and I want to watch a show. So if I'm looking at the newspaper or I'm looking at the menu and to see that what is being telecasted at particular channel, so that is a scanning. That I'm not looking at the complete schedule. I'm just looking at 10 p.m. because that is the time I am free. I have some time to spend, right? So when we look for the train schedule, even that is scanning. I have to go to Mumbai. I'm looking for only and I can't travel in the night. I'm intending to travel in the morning only. So I will look for that particular train which is running in the morning towards Mumbai. I'm not looking at the complete schedule of all the trains. I'm not interested, right? So that is what is known as scanning. Now you should be very, very careful, basis on the time you have, that you can do skimming or objective. There are two important things. What is the objective of the reading and how much time do you have? These two factors play important role. Of course, there are so many more factors which do play a role here, but these are the two most important factors. The objective of the reading, you have been forced, you have been ordered by the boss to read the report and give the summary. You may not have knowledge about that subject, but you are supposed to be preparing notes from a report and to submit highlights or the bullet points from the report, right? So there you can't do any skimming or scanning. You will have to read every word. You will have to go through detailed reading, right? So that in that case, your strategy would be extensive reading. So one is intensive and one is extensive. Let's talk about intensive first, and then we will talk about extensive. So what is intensive? There's a little difference. Intensive, that I am reading the same document but intensively, right? I'm reading a particular text but with very intensive way. So that is what intensive reading is. Let's take an example. Let's say you are reading a book on management accounting or on marketing management as a student of BCom honors. So that is extensive reading, right? You are going through all the concept, the complete syllabus which is there. So that particular type of reading would be extensive. So in business, when would you need that? The example I was just quoting now, where I said that you have been given a task by your boss to read the report and submit highlights or submit important points of that report. Here you would be doing extensive reading so that you could bring out certain important point, Okay, so and that what is intensive reading? Intensive and critical are somehow taken, in sometimes people can get confused with that. So intensive is that I am not reading the full book, but whatever I am reading it, with more time, attention, and care. Right? So that's what intensive is. Whereas in extensive, I'm not looking for a particular information. I'm referring to the complete text, the complete report in this example, right? And whatever I get as an important, I am writing it down. In the intensive, I am looking for a particular important. I am reading a particular aspect of what is there in my mind, about a particular aspect of anything, any topic which is there in my mind. Okay, so that's what the extensive is. Then we have then we have certain good examples for extensive. What could be that? We let's say you may think, what about if I am reading a novel before going to bedtime? Yeah, you are right. Even that is extensive reading. That's not intensive. You are not trying to find out one particular information from that novel. You are reading the full text with a flow about all the characters, about all the incidents or instances, whatever there in the novel, right? Let's say in the magazine, there's some article of interest to me. Let's say I want to, I want to study about the weight loss program, about intermittent fasting. Nowadays, everybody talks about that. So you are reading an article in a health magazine, so that is of interest to you or to me, for example, here. So that is an extensive reading. I want to know everything and anything about intermittent fasting, or about the weight loss program, or any such thing, whichever is of interest to me, right? So I am not restricting myself to know about one. Let's say the national education policy I just quoted a few minutes ago. So if I am reading everything whichever is available to me about National Education Policy 2020, it's extensive reading. It will become intensive if I am reading only one aspect of National Education Policy, right? So that's how the intensive, so it's a kind of, intensive reading is used for shorter texts to extract specific information. We are not reading in journal everything. So it is basically, it includes very close, accurate reading for details, right? Whereas in the extensive, I'm trying to read the complete. So here my objective is one specific situation. If CBI is carrying some inquiry, so and they are digging out that how much money was transferred from X person's account to the Y person. So and if they are scrutinizing different accounts or bank of accounts or passbooks, and they are paying attention only about a particular name, right? Debit or credit about a particular name, all the transactions pertaining to one person. There are millions of transactions in the passbook, in the statement of account, right? But they are paying attention only about X or Y person. That is intensive. Okay, but with the same team, if they want to see, if they want to see the complete transactions throughout the year, what all the person was doing, to understand his behavior, his criminal behavior, his total social behavior, then it is extensive, right? So basically we are talking about the purpose. The purpose is different. Generally, most of the time we use this intensive reading skills for any insurance claim we have. I received an offer letter from a new employer. So here I am looking for I am reading it carefully with specific information about the package, about the term of joining, date of joining, So if there's an insurance claim or insurance policy I'm going to sign, so that document is not very extensive, not very big, but I am reading it carefully, more carefully about a particular purpose, to see that what is the insurance claim amount I'm going to get, or if there's a letter asking you for a particular additional information, so you are paying attention to that specific information, right, which is sorted, which is required by the agency. So that is intensive. Okay. So now another skill, another type of strategy one may use or we can use is the critical reading. What is critical reading? It's a form of language analysis that does not take the given text as it is on the face value. So we do not believe this is true what is written there, what is easily written, what is easily understandable. So we try to draw some meaning, which is we try to dig out the hidden meaning from the text. That is what the critical reading is. It involves deeper examination of spotting points or certain arguments in your mind, right? So when you are reading such thing with the critical eyes, so we say, please read it with the critical eyes, read it with critical mind. We request our colleagues, peers to read our work with critical mind, because we want them to think what we may have missed, so that they could point out. So critical reading is actually, it recognizes not only what a text says, but how it does say, right? So one is what is there in the text. Another is how that text has been set, portrayed, right? So we are trying to draw interpretation or meaning from that text as a whole, not as only not only as what is there prima facie visible on the text. So when people the agencies deal with codes used by terrorist groups or used by, they have to do critical thinking, right? So they don't go by whatever is written on the text as it is. They try to link it with other understanding, with other documents, with other texts they know, right? So that is critical reading. So critical reading is important only in case if your job requires so, but otherwise it is used in many professions. It varies from profession to profession, of course. It is used in many professions. So lastly, I would say you may use any strategy for reading. It will certainly depend upon the objective of reading and the time you have in read. In all, we have two types of readers. One which we call as poor reader, another as a good readers. As per Das B. Satpathy in his book, he mentioned that generally we can read, a poor reader would read 90 to 125 words per minute, and a good reader would read 200 to 300 WPM, words per minute. Okay, so that is and the comprehension skill is about 80 to 90. And average reading, this is study reading. Average reading is about 150 to 180 words per minute for a poor reader, and 250 to 500 words per minute for a good reader. So it really varies from person to person. So you would see that a person is a good reader with the language, with the vocabulary he knows. I could be a good reader for English or Hindi, but I know some language, any third language, very little knowledge I have about a particular language, then I would become poor reader in that particular text, right? So poor reader doesn't mean the poor reader is poor for all the languages. So it will depend from language to language, from native language to the foreign language. Okay, So irrespective of the speed, important is to be attentive, important is to understand the aim of the reading, and it's not necessary to spend so much time for all the text we come across. So that's the better time management as well, right? Especially in at a workplace. So I hope you were able to understand what are the possible strategies in reading. So with that, I would like to end now. Thank you very much, friends, for your presence. Thank you.